ile bundle flexible na affordable na kukupea rewards every time you use M-Pesa. Switch to Flex. Get more, use everything.
This is KTN News.
All right, welcome back. You're watching KTN News Desk. Many thanks for staying with us here. Let's start off with the latest situation that has put all political parties at loggerheads. The Electoral Commission is once again facing a storm after allegations that the firm contracted to print ballot papers for the coming elections has strong links with Jubilee Supremos. NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga claimed Jubilee's top leaders and the Dubai firm Ghurair Printing and Publishing Limited have had a long-standing relationship of over 3 years and had at least 2 meetings to discuss the awarding of the tender. Raila, who spoke at the National Elections Conference at the KICC in Nairobi yesterday. The IEBC, on the other hand, has warned that there may be no elections on August 8th should the ballot tender be put aside once again, citing limited time. Let's listen in to what Raila said before we look at the reasons why IEBC settled on Ghurair.
This development is ill-advised and unfortunate. It casts a dark shadow which could have been avoided over the credibility of the August elections. Information currently in our possession indicates that the firm has long had contact with senior Jubilee officials for at least 3 years.
All right, so that is what NASA coalition flag bearer Raila Odinga said yesterday about giving that printing tender to Ghurair, the Dubai-based company. So the IEBC gave out some reasons why they settled for this particular company. One of them was that Ghurair has the capacity of modern machines, and they said that the firm is very suitable, has very suitable emergency production, packaging, and delivery plan. The IEBC also said the firm has fully deployed, experienced and qualified personnel, and there are 4 direct flights daily by 2 major airlines to Kenya. The IEBC also said the firm has a sufficient and a stable financial base to fund its obligation. Some of the reasons that the IEBC gave for settling on this particular company, that the firm has experience in African countries, parts of Asia and the Middle East, among others, and prices offered are competitive and within prevailing market rates. Remember, this particular company, this would not be the first time they are being awarded the tender of printing of ballot boxes or ballot papers, beg your pardon. Hence the reason why IEBC said that we already have a working relationship with this particular company. So joining me in studio now is analyst Benji Ndolo, so that we take a look at what Raila said vis-a-vis what IEBC said, and with just 2 months to the elections, what does this mean? Benji, thank you for coming in. Does it put us at a very awkward position with just 2 months to the elections and everything happening with this awarding of this tender?
Akisa, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I hate to tell you and to tell Kenyans that my own personal and professional assessment, and for the record, during the last general election and Supreme Court announcement, I actually happened to be in this studio and on air. Actually, this studio behind here. And this is a very complex scenario, Akisa. I think that people say that the indications of a rain, not a storm, is clouds. I think over the years, it's been very clear that the powers that be, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but there have been all these different things and kind of perceived to be against one person. Now, what I would do if I was a academic, professional, etc., is to ask myself why. Akisa, why do I say that? You've seen the exit of all commissioners, previous commissioners. You've seen demonstrations against IBC. You've seen allegations of bribery against Supreme Court judges. You've seen the exit of the Chief Justice and the installation of a new Chief Justice, which the President then went out and said, you know, we gave you a Chief Justice. So it is with all this constellation of shiny stars of major events, Akisa, that you ask yourself, you know, what is really going on here? And I think that the person that all these things seem to be against is the person that is complaining about them, which is Raila Odinga. So
but do you think this complaints, we had everything that Raila Odinga had to say yesterday. Do you think he has valid concerns about this?
I think there's
tender?
veracity, but what I would have done if the situation is this complex and the stake of a country is what is at stake, the well-being of a country is what is at stake. So what I'd have done as a senior politician is to find a formula where I don't, in essence, force my way through. Because if you look at the rhetoric, Akisa, the Deputy President yesterday says, and I quote, all right, because he said it in public. So someone is making a trap ya kunasa mtu. Unafikiri sisi ni wajinga kuingia kwa hiyo? Now, he's speaking as the Deputy President. He used to work for Raila. The President is also saying that, you know, we must not have a situation where one person says it must be me or I burn down the country. You can see where this is going. So what I had actually advised, and I have various channels to do so, and what I'd have done if I was Raila, is if the contestation is this bad, if there's a section of the country, I mean, you can see the propaganda that's out all the time. You saw the issues on Laikipia yesterday, etc. Then I would, judges recuse themselves. I'll take a step back, and what I had recommended is to put forward Mudavadi. Because I think there's this fear of Raila, and I think it's what's driving all this. Look at all the headlines today. They're saying this company met with so-and-so, so-and-so came here, etc. These are serious allegations,
All right,
Akisa.
and the President has also weighed in on this very issue. Let's just listen to what the President said, then we get back to this discussion.
Any attack against the IEBC is an attack upon an important pillar that is a guardian of our democracy. We must not be chipping at its body with constant negative rhetoric that undermine its credibility in the court of public opinion. They must not be harried by politicians or marred by partisan political warfare.
All right, so that is what President Uhuru Kenyatta said in his address in Eldoret. Of course, with regard to that election preparedness conference that was happening in Nairobi ends today, one thing that came out largely of his speech was that anyone who will be seen attacking the IEBC is attacking a very fundamental institution, and this did not augur well with a number of people.
See, you've just set up a really basic, fundamental, logical argument. All right? Very basic, Akisa. So the President, in a way, is almost being the spokesman for IEBC. So any basic legal expert, observer would ask themselves why. All right? Because he's a competitor, the other guy is a competitor. And that's why I'm saying we must not be too lazy to think or to go through the motions. And yes, it's true, things are very bad in this country right now. But I don't think that I, as a politician, or Honorable Raila or Uhuru or anybody, should have to get to a point to, like, in essence, force my way through. You could argue, Raila, I've heard a lot of people say he won 2007. He's a senior politician to the President. He's probably is more popular than President Kibaki, former President Kibaki. So what is really going on?
Are you saying this, do you think this will derail this election?
I think it's just complicating it further and polarizing the country further and dividing the country very deeply. Because you see, truth of the matter is that Honorable Raila is a polarizing figure. And so, you know, you've just look at what's happening on social media. You've got veiled threats of violence, etc. And do you want to come to power that way?
On derailing the election, these were the very sentiments of Isaac Mwaura, who is a nominated member of parliament from Jubilee.
From ODM.
Yes, but he defected to Jubilee.
But he's still an ODM MP.
Okay, let's listen into what he had to say, Benji.
There are people who want to ensure that due to lack of credibility of a process, and because they know obviously Jubilee is going to take over power, they want to have a crisis where we have a coalition government, just like we had 10 years ago during the Grand Coalition. But I would want to ask Kenyans to decisively vote for who they would want to lead this country.
So seemingly rubbishing all these other claims that have been made by Raila Odinga, they have hinted that they might go to court. This would be my final question to you. What will this situation, how will this pan out with just 2 months to go?
There's a lot of discussion around the fact that maybe there's a hope for some sort of compromise, coalition, government, etc. There's also a lot of talk around the fact that actually both sides, there's elements on both sides that are saying, no, we're not going to agree to that. Some of what you're seeing, Akisa, explains a lot of the noise that you saw in the Kalonzo camp, you know, where they were making it clear. I think I can quote the Honorable Kalonzo saying, I am 63 years old, I am going to run. So ask yourself why he didn't run. That's a whole nother issue. And you also have a situation where the bringing forth of a flag bearer took too long, which means it was very controversial and contentious.
Will this derail this election? Will this whole printing of ballot papers derail this election?
If they have to reprint, yes. And for now, it will just heighten the temperatures and deepen the divisions, and that is most unfortunate. That is what we wanted to really avoid from the beginning. We must have a way that you know, change happens progressively and, consistently and progressively, not with this kind of thing where you've got a section of the country feeling that if it's so and so, then we're going to be, ICC cases will be restarted, we're going to be punished, people will be jailed.
It's a whole lot of things happening.
It's a whole lot of things, and so it's regrettable. It's why we've got to kind of go a different way. I think the rule poll probably has NASA ahead, but then again, look at the propaganda war. It's actually having Uhuru ahead. I saw one poll from this morning, Uhuru 61%.
Yes.
Later, Raila 58%.